On today's episode, we have Matt Clyde, the president and chief strategist for Ideas Clyde, joining us for a conversation on effective communication, mental toughness, culture, as well as branding. This is an episode you won't want to miss. Thanks again for joining me today, Matt.
Thanks, Lindsay. Great to be here.
So as we dive into today's conversation, I think it's really important that we share a little bit more about who you are for those individuals that haven't met you before out and about in the community. And since we're in the middle of a pandemic and we don't have the opportunity to get out as much, would you mind just sharing a little bit more about who you are and your business?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm Matthew Clyde. I founded Ideas Clyde 15 years ago. This is our 15th year. We were going to celebrate big. Now we're just celebrating in quarantine. We are a marketing agency based in Arizona. We also have offices in Portland. We serve clients locally and globally. So everywhere from the Asia Pacific to Europe to Phoenix, Arizona. And we really work to be very connected to our client needs in solving communication challenges, business challenges. We invent solutions for them to take into the marketplace to drive impact. And that's through advertising, digital marketing, really using technology to make those connections to solve for business challenges.
Matt is one of those resources here in our business community. Part of the reason why he's featured in our Resources for Growth publication, but he can help on so many different levels. So love everything that you're doing, especially on the marketing side, but also from a leadership development standpoint, I think you're a tremendous resource in that space. So we have invited Matt to come in and join us for our upcoming August 11th event, where we'll be talking about how to create a winning culture. And as we kind of look forward to that conversation, Matt, I just want to dive into that. Like, how did you even get into public speaking, and how did you become a thought leader in this space?
Well, a long journey. Like everybody has a story and a long journey. It started at a young age. I was very into my imagination, and that led me to have a very fortunate opportunity to be part of the Sundance Institute at a very young age. Got to go to their writers lab and be part of their development program. That led to other things, right? And helped me kind of connect to a lot of different things. Was able to work for a period of time with probably a very well-known leader in the development space, and that was Stephen R. Covey through the 7 Habits. So I got to work with that organization and with Stephen and his company for many years, and learned some really great skills that at a very young age made me want to go and do more. I had the opportunity to go and be inside some of the best organizations in America, from Starbucks to Ritz-Carlton, to amazing medical facilities and organizations, and learned that at a very young career. And so I got to see and learn from some of the best, and they helped shape and motivated me to go and do more and give back more through leadership.
As you're out there talking with business owners and entrepreneurs and local leaders, what is the advice that you're offering the most right now?
Well, obviously, we are in very challenging times. And what we are talking a lot about, whether it's with our clients or with our individual team members and just friends, is mental toughness. And that's really, how do you build that mental toughness right now to be resilient, to be positive amid a lot of disruption and change and hard challenges, and be also empathetic. So those are the 2 words we're using a lot and talking about a lot of what does it mean to have mental toughness, but with empathy, and connect that to our current state and our future state.
And specifically, like in the marketing space, I mean, I feel like there's usually 2 trains of thought. Those companies that are like, when we fall in hard times, they're either doing a ton of marketing or they're not doing any at all. So what advice do you offer to those individuals that are just trying to think through best practices and strategy?
So if you've been through any disruption, definitely through a lot of disruption right now, but even if you go back to 2008, 2009 in the Great Recession, or even go back to the tragic events of 9/11, every time I've been part of organizations or building brands, the brands that invested in their people and in their brand during those very disruptive times came out stronger. So whether it's your individual brand or if it's your organizational brand, I think investing in your values, who you are, your services, and even reinventing those services amid change is the time to make that investment now. Really strengthen your core to be stronger. So as we come out of a very challenging and pandemic era, that we are stronger as a brand, as individuals. So I would say keep investing and keep driving to make sure you're making that connection with your customers and your people.
And something else I'd offer on that front is just consistency. I feel like even though we've gone through so much disruption, the more consistent we can be on all platforms and in our communication strategies, I feel like we're better off. Um,
Even
so
as
kind of on that,
when you think about that, think about consistency as leadership is really people are watching everything right now, and that consistency is something they're really looking for. They're wanting that foundational. So yeah, that applies to brands and for our people and for our leadership.
on that same front, as we're talking about communication, how do you feel like COVID is going to impact overall communication? I know we've seen some impact here in the short term, but how do you feel like that's going to impact us in the long run?
Well, we're obviously living in a virtual bubble and virtual world, so that I don't see that changing. In many ways, we're helping a lot of clients rethink how they create engagement and connection in virtual spaces and virtual opportunities. So I think that communication is going to continue to evolve and change and grow. But the great thing about technology, and we talked about this before COVID and even now, even more, is that the power and the importance of connection is to help build more human connection. It's to help us, find more ways to be efficient and connected through technology, but we don't want to lose the human element of that. And that we're having a lot of conversations around that. How do we still remain connected in a very virtual sense? And I think that is going to be with us for many years, and it's changing in how we operate and run as businesses. And so I think in communication, whether it's leveraging AI technology and making it more of a conversation so it feels human and real, to even having conversations like we're having right now and making them still feel authentic, real, and connected and personalized, those are definitely going to be long-term needs and aspects that we're going to have to build into our communication strategies and tools that we use.
And on that front, I'm just personally kind of curious because people are longing for that human interaction, as well as, I mean, they just want to spend time with people because we miss that people element. So how do you feel like marketing is going to change? Do you see it trending in the right direction for video content? Just curious.
Definitely. Yeah, I think more video. We're using a lot more even today in trying to make those connections and tell more stories. And it helps bring the power of videos. It brings an emotional component to it, whether it's humorous or if it's emotional or empathetic or whatever it is. That power of video helps do that, and it elevates the storytelling. So I think in communication and marketing, we're going to see a lot more video enriched storytelling. And I think you're also going to see more and more of the use of frictionless. How do we get more frictionless in our communication and in our marketing efforts? Expectations. I mean, if you've tried to call any business lately and you're put on hold, and that can be very, you can feel very disconnected when you're trying to solve something. So how are we going to find more tools and capabilities to get quick information that customers and individuals need? And I think that's going to change the shape of marketing communications a lot as well. But yeah, I'm excited to see about where video continues to evolve over the next couple of years, because I think it's going to be really important in the marketing mix.
I know we've definitely looked to implement that more so on the internal side, but as we're thinking through our strategies, we're looking at what we can do and what we can communicate externally via video. And I think it's a little less frightening, for those individuals that haven't produced much video content in the past. They were like, oh, it has to be perfectly polished or, high quality production. But I think what COVID-19 has done for a lot of us is that it's kind of brought down those barriers and made it more widely acceptable to have, just real authentic stuff. And it doesn't have to be perfectly polished. What are your thoughts on that?
I think we've seen that a lot when you watch like national broadcast television and you're just seeing it as is. And I mean, even watching the NFL draft, we got a peek inside a lot of players and coaches' homes and general managers' homes. And I think that became, a curiosity factor too. But there was no high-end production to a lot of that. It was just a camera and some lights, some good, basic sound. And I think that's very true. We have the real power as marketers, and as even if you're building your own personal brand, is the phones that we hold in our hands, the technology we hold in our hands, allow us to get our message out there in multiple ways. And you can tell your story very quickly and shoot it all on your phone and edit it on your phone, and that is compelling messaging. It doesn't have to be this highly produced, beautifully shot. It can still tell the story. And if anything, if you are invested or have watched a TikTok video of late, that can be pretty addicting. I think that's part of why people are wondering if it should be. It's a little bit controversial too. Of what are they observing and watching about us? But that's part of that. Is that there's a lot of quick, compelling content in a TikTok that is, if you watch or consume them, they're very quickly done. They're very creative. And that's the interesting thing about these times. When disruption comes and change happens and hardship hits us, it does force us to be more creative, and it forces us to rethink so many things. And I think video and how we produce video and how we tell stories is definitely we've seen that, and we will continue to see that.
I'm curious, Matt, what are your go-to marketing applications that you have on your phone that you use on a consistent basis?
Well, I'm a member of the Forbes Advertising Council, so I go there a lot because it's industry colleagues and peers that are talking a lot about what's happening in our market right now. So that is something I dial into a lot. I'm a big podcast, so kudos to you, because I think the podcasts have helped us be mentally balanced in COVID at times. Like, am I the only one feeling this way? Oh no, and so there's some good content out there, even from a leadership standpoint. Brene Brown is someone I really dial into, and she's been giving some great advice across a lot of different topics. And so that's something I really tune into a lot. And then just, I think it's good to have a good fun thing, a mental break, because I think that helps you think creatively as a marketer. So there are a few sports podcasts and movie podcasts. No one's going to a movie right now in a movie theater. So I dial into some of those because it actually helps me in my marketing thinking. I think sometimes when you take yourself out of the day-to-day, I think you have to reframe your thinking to help solve for problems. And so there's some great pods and apps that I'm using a lot to help me do that.
Yeah, I think it's good that you brought that up, the importance of resting and like recovering, because right now there's no clear distinction between, our work life and our personal life. It's all blending together. So I think it's great to hear that you do make a conscious effort to do that on a regular basis. I'll share my new favorite app that I came across, which who knows, I kind of have like a flavor of the week. I'll find a new app that I think is really cool. And I don't know how long it'll last on my phone, but the one that I'm into right now, it's called Boosted, and it allows you to create your own commercials via the app. And so you can modify the text and like add in your own customized pictures. So kind of cool. It's like a monthly subscription. It's really not that expensive, and it can make you look like a rock star. So if you're trying to build your personal or professional brand on a budget, might be one to check out.
We've had to do a few commercial shoots in COVID and be on very, very tight budgets and meet really fast production cycles. So it can be done, and I want to go check that out. So good recommendation.
So we've talked about communication, and communication ties directly into company culture and team building and whatnot. So I mean, just kind of setting the stage, I'm curious, what are a couple elements, without giving everything away, what are you planning on covering during that August 11th presentation?
Probably a little bit around, what I just shared, the idea of mental toughness and how you bring that into your marketing and your leadership, the importance of empathy, especially in, understanding consumer needs, understanding your team member needs and your own needs as well. Having empathy is really being open and receptive to a lot of that. And I think great leaders and marketers, especially in today's world, have to be open. being open and accepting to disruption and change in how you balance that. I'll tell you, I think everybody's going through this as a leader, a marketing leader, brand leader, business leader. There's probably a disruption happening almost every week now of something new.
Or every day.
Yeah, every day. Some days feels like, where it's like, oh, hey, this is okay. These three things are still a priority, and now this is as well, and we're going to have to, meet that. And so being really connected. Again, how do you connect with the people that are helping you lead forward, and how are you reassuring them and giving them confidence and giving them reality? So that too is being very transparent. And so we've really dialed that up in terms of our own internal communication and external communication and how we are interacting. So those are some of the things we touch on in building. How do you strengthen your brand and your organization through really investing in smart and authentic culture?
And I'm just personally really looking forward to this, because a lot of leaders don't necessarily see the connection between brand and culture, but I think it'll be a really powerful message that you'll bring to the table, because I see that value. I mean, certainly I have a marketing background, and so I definitely see how that goes hand in hand. So that should be really good. Okay, so the other things I would love to touch on are, as you're providing practical advice to some of those younger marketing professionals that are looking to enter the job world, or, if they are looking for their next career opportunity, what advice do you have for them as they look to excel in their careers?
I think, being really aware and taking risks right now is important. You may feel, I think a lot of people might be like, I don't know what the job market looks like. I don't know if there's opportunity, but there are definitely opportunities out there to sharpen your skills, learn new skills. As there have been a lot of setbacks from unemployment, I've had so many people reach out to me, young and in long term in their careers, and they're like, hey, what should I do next? And it's like, really learn three new skills right now. Like, what three new things could you go and learn and grow from? And whether it's doing as an intern, doing it on your own, practicing it, building that portfolio. Much like I said early in our conversation, the brands that are investing now in their future and strengthening your brand are going to come out stronger. And that's the same thing for your career as an individual. What three things can you do right now that will really set you up for when things somewhat go back to normal, or when things start to recover? There will be a recovery, and how are you going to be ready and prepared for that? So know what those things are and go after them.
So for those individuals that are like drawing a blank and they can't, they're like, well, I know I should be doing something, but I don't know what that is. Do you have any ideas just to get them started?
Yeah, I think I'd go back to podcasts again. I would go search podcasts, and I would at least find one that scares you. Something that you're like, I don't know coding. I don't want to learn coding, but maybe go and explore that, or see what you could do in that field and in that industry. So be willing to pick up something that you may not be as familiar with. Again, it helps disrupt and open up your mind. And then find something, much like you would if you're dialing through Netflix, right? And finding a show that you really are passionate about. What would you be passionate about in your learning? So whether it's through, a news feed, or through a podcast, or through the app store, what do you connect to? It might be photography, and you can go wander out and take pictures safely by yourself in the outside world. Maybe that's something that might become this new skill that you grow and learn and evolve from. So I would encourage them that sometimes those things are staring right at us when we're drawing blanks, and we maybe are shutting it off. So how do you open up to that? Go explore, go explore what you think is going to really drive your passion, and make one of them, though, something that you're maybe a little bit afraid of.
The other advice I've been offering a lot of marketing professionals lately, because I've had a handful of them reach out to me too, is that make sure that we're practicing what we preach. So if you are a marketing professional that says, hey, I specialize in social media content, if that's your go-to thing, then your personal social media should be off the charts and really cool. So,
yeah.
So we've talked about building your brand as a corporation and on an individual level. I have multiple different leaders that come to me and they say, I know I need to get my name out there. I know I need to build a bigger presence. Since I have you here, I would love to get your input on this. What are some great, easy, practical strategies that you would encourage leaders to think about as they're trying to get their personal name and brand out there?
Well, you mentioned one that's very obvious is social media. So really putting time and effort into that, and that can help tell your story. It can also help connect you in a very virtual world right now to like-minded people that maybe have some of your same interests and passions or specialties, especially using tools like LinkedIn. That's really important right now. And if you just do the basics in LinkedIn, it can really open up a lot of doors. So social media would be definitely one. I think, there's a lot of virtual networking groups out there happening, and virtual happy hours and meetups. Uh, there is some amazing things happening in our virtual COVID-19 state that don't be afraid to go and start reaching out to people. So I think making a weekly goal of, hey, I'm gonna reach out to like these 5 people and build my network and offer them something of value, and be very clear about maybe what you want back in return. Making those happen, those connections happen, are, I think it's a lot less intimidating, to be honest with you, in the current environment, because people are home. We're not doing commutes. We're not living in this hectic life. We're very busy and having to deal with a lot of pressure. But I think a lot of people are more open to connect too. They want that connection. So don't be afraid to reach out to someone that you admire, that you want to work with, or a brand you want to work with, or a company. They may not have a job right now, but again, maybe you can just go and have a conversation with them, offer them something of value, or see how they could maybe be a mentor or a coach. I think those are all really important things to do as leaders right now.
It probably would have been helpful if I brought this up earlier in the conversation, but Matt, I'm curious, what types of individuals or businesses do you feel like you could help the most?
Oh, wow. Well, we're very fortunate. We have a very diverse portfolio of brands and organizations we work with. So from very small startups, and we've been a part of some recent startups which have been exciting, to very large, international organizations and companies. So I'm more interested in working with new brands and people that really want to take culture, like we talked about, and really integrate that into their brand. So if you want to build a stronger culture as your brand, and that is a reflection of everything from your products and services is at the core of your culture as well. Those are individuals and organizations I want to be working with and excited about. And there's some really new innovation, some new exciting things coming out of the market that we're participating in, that we definitely want to, whether it's technology or whether it's just a simple idea that people have not thought of. Those are really exciting to me.
So certainly you guys can help with a long-term strategy and thinking big picture, but are there any specific types of projects that you'd love to get your hands on?
So I do a lot of, and currently actually doing a lot of messaging positioning campaigns. A lot of brands are going, hey, we haven't really thought about this, we've been so busy growing. We haven't thought about what are our core values as an organization, and how do they reflect our culture and to our people? And then how do we adapt all of those to really have an external brand, strengthened brand? So we're doing workshops, virtual workshops. We're really mapping this out with clients from an entire journey of what they want their future state to be and their current state is, and how they bring that to reality. It's fascinating, working with CEOs, the C-suite, and everyone, even from like a administrative or coordinator level, entry level position, coming in with input and how to strengthen the brand message and position. So that's been really exciting work we've been doing.
So for those individuals that want to learn a little bit more about your workshops, where could they find that information?
Reach out, go to ideasclyde.com, our social media, LinkedIn, kind of highlighting a lot of things going on there. Or shoot me an email. It's probably the fastest way. I can share some things that we've been doing.
As previously mentioned, Matt and his team from Ideas Clyde, they're featured in our Resources for Growth publication. So a little bit more background on their organization as well as their contact information is listed in there. So it's on our website, a2zbizlink.com/resources. But Matt is a tremendous resource and would highly encourage anybody that needs a little bit of help or guidance as it relates to culture or marketing. He's definitely a go-to resource. Matt, as we wrap up today's conversation, is there anything else that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
No, just excited to continue the journey that we're on. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say excited. That's probably the wrong word, but engaged, very engaged in the journey that we're on and where it will lead us. I think, again, it's going to take a lot of mental toughness and adaptation, but we're going to come out stronger from it. I think we're going to become out better as individuals and organizations when we dial in and do the right thing and really are consistent, like you brought up, and committed to growing and evolving. So that's what marketing is about. It's always pushing to that next thing and growing to the next thing and bringing more opportunity in. That's what marketing does for business. And so the future is going to be an interesting journey, but one I'm very, very engaged and especially looking to see what comes from it in working with great organizations, and appreciate everything you're doing, Lindsay, and helping keep our community connected. That's really important as we're all in our own little home office structures. Keeping that connection is really important. So I appreciate everything you're doing with AZBizLink and your network that you've been building.
Matt, thanks again for being here today.
Yeah, awesome. Great to connect, and hope to talk soon.